Birmingham City boss Gary Rowett looks ahead to Tuesday's match against Bolton Wanderers after his side weren't in action over the weekend.
I think that you can look at it as a good thing or a bad thing, but obviously you'd probably rather have points on the board at this stage of the season rather than having a game in hand. But again, if some of the results had gone right for us at the weekend, as they were up until about 80 minutes of the respective games, if we were to take the 3 points on Tuesday, then you can argue that we'd probably be in the playoffs. So I think you look at an overall points tally, you look at an overall level of performance that you want for the season. Over the last 10 years, between 72 and 78 points historically has got you in the playoffs. So you're looking for a spread of somewhere between those points, and it's as simple as that. So it doesn't really matter how you get them, it doesn't matter what other teams do. That's what it's about. But I know what you're saying, you don't want to be in a position where you're sort of 8-9 points off those positions. So I think for us, we've just got to keep focusing on what we do. We know that after a very, very good run of form and points, that the last 3 games, although I don't think we've played badly and certainly not conceded many goals, we found ourselves on the end of just 2 draws in those 3 games, which, as we know, could have very easily been a win and 2 draws. So we just got to focus on what we do and see if we can put another performance at home, certainly a better performance against one of the teams in the bottom 3. But we don't want to get too over the top about it and put too much pressure on ourselves, because as we know, we're a team that there's no real expectation from outside of our fans and our camp, so therefore why feel pressured?
The manager is also pleased that David Cottrell is making steady progress in his return to full fitness.
I know he's been fine in training, obviously hasn't had an awful lot of training compared to what you'd probably want ideally, but he's been back now for a couple of weeks full training, so he's one that verbally is challenging, certainly for the team. And also physically on the training ground. So, but he's a good lad, Cots. He's infectious, and of course he's the type of player, as most are, that he just wants to play. So he's desperate to get back in the team. But of course we've got some very good attacking options at the moment. So, but he's available for selection. Varney obviously missed the last game with a dead calf. Got it in on the Friday in training before the Rotherham game. He's probably benefited from the extra time we've had between games, so he trained this morning, so hopefully if he's not too sore and tight, then he'll be available. Certainly looked okay this morning. Brock's had a little bit of a setback. He had a hamstring injury, came back last week with it, just tweaked his quad in a shooting session. Not too serious, but again not going to be available for the game. So apart from those, or Brock and Neil Eardley, I think everyone else certainly available for selection for Tuesday.
And despite Bolton's league position, Rowett admits that when he has seen them play this season, he's been impressed with Neil Lennon's side.
I've played with Lenny at Leicester for a little while, and he's a good guy along with all the staff there. And as always is the case when you're down near the bottom, a win or a couple of good results and a couple of good performances can really give you that hope that you can get out of it. But I have to say, I've seen them even early in the season, and they've played well on most of the occasions I've watched them. They've got some very experienced players in there, but regardless of where they are in the league, the likes of Davis, Spearing, Pratley, they're not going to be overawed by any situation. They're going to play exactly the same way they always have done. I think perhaps goals has been something they've maybe struggled to add to some of that good approach play. And again, I watched them on Saturday and they were better than QPR. I felt for majority of the game, really should have won the game. When you look at the QPR players that they've got in their team, so we've got to be respectful of them. We've got to hope that there's a slight advantage for us in terms of the fact that we haven't played for a little while. But as we know, that's not always the case. Sometimes that period of time that you don't play can sometimes, you perhaps don't get the desired effect. But we've had a good week's training, a good 10 days training, and we know what we've got to do to try and win the game.